Okay, hello Cloud Gurus, and we're almost at the end. This is the very last theoretical lecture, and it's just on logging. It won't be too long. So obviously going into the exam, you have to understand the different logging services available and the differences between them, basically. So CloudTrail obviously logs API calls. AWS Config will log the actual configuration of your AWS environment and what assets you have, and it's a point in time, logging tool, so you can actually go back and see what it looked like last Sunday at 4 p.m, or you could go back further and say what it looked like 2 weeks ago at Saturday at 3 a.m, etc., etc. VPC flow logs obviously just monitor all the network traffic of your ENIs within VPC. And then CloudWatch obviously logs, the performance of your AWS assets. So they're all logging services, but they all do different things. What resources should you read? Well, definitely check out this white paper called Security at Scale, Logging in AWS. The link is just down the bottom. And that was developed using ISO 27001, PCI DSS 2.0. It's actually at 3.1 now, but the white paper itself it was actually updated just recently last year, so it's probably at the 3.1 standard now, as well as FedRAMP. And basically, it looks at common logging requirements across these three different, compliance metrics. Moving on, so you should always control your access to log files. You should prevent unauthorized access, and you should be using things like identity access management users, groups, roles, and policies. That's from an IAM perspective. You should also be using Amazon S3 bucket policies to prevent unauthorized access. And of course, always enable multi-factor authentication, both at an IAM level as well as at a bucket policy or an object level if you need it inside your buckets. Also ensure role-based access. You basically want only the people who should be looking at your logs should be your security people. It shouldn't be HR people, for example. So you can do that using, again, IAM users, groups, and roles and policies, as well as Amazon S3 bucket policies. You should also obtain alerts on log file creation or misconfigurations. So if a log is created or it's failed to be creating, you should have CloudTrail notifications turned on, as well as AWS config rules, and you should be basically pushing those to SNS topics so that you can figure out what's going wrong and where. You should always log changes to your system components. So we did this through a couple of ways through AWS config rules, as well as through CloudTrail. And you should always have controls to prevent modifications to logs. So you should have identity access management and S3 controls and policies in place. You can have CloudTrail log validations, and you can have a CloudTrail file encryption as well. Storage of log files. Logs are stored for at least 1 year, so you should store your logs for an organizational defined period. You want to store logs in real time for resiliency. You should probably look at things like S3, then use S3 object lifecycle management. Remember that S3 has 99 or 11 nines durability, as well as 99.99% availability of objects over a given year. So what are my exam tips? Well, basically with logging, just understand the 4 different logging services and the differences between them. So CloudTrail you want turned on in every single region, and essentially that's going to log all your API calls. AWS config is going to log the configuration of your environment at its point in time, so you can go back and have a look at any particular time. VPC flow logs will monitor all network traffic along your Elastic Network Interfaces, or ENIs, and then CloudWatch logs for basically for performance monitoring. So what was my CPU utilization, what was my disk utilization, etc., etc. So that is it for this lecture, guys. Congratulations, you're at the end. In the very next lecture, we're just going to summarize what you've learned. And then in the next section, we'll just take a quick look at how to go ahead and book your exam. And then that's it. So seriously, congratulations, you're almost at the end. So hopefully I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.